There we go. Oh, I love to join today with like July 24th. Now, I just got a pop-up on my computer. It says it's unstable, but hopefully, oh, thanks, Colleen. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. Yeah, oh, well, I miss you guys a lot. And just hoping, I guess you could say, I guess we're another day closer to being together. You could think of it that way. So sure hope so. But today, you know what's kind of cool about today, and forgive me, you might hear me say this a couple times as people come in, but just I always think I don't want to forget it's self-care day. So I thought that was kind of cool that you know, so powerful to do these little things that we could do for our bodies that help with self-care. So very powerful, and just like another tool in our back pocket or our toolbox that we can do. So I found some wonderful ones to release, and so good to kind of rebalance the energy. And when you rebalance the energy, it opens up the body to be able to do any of the things the body needs to do as far as energizing or healing, or just sort of that good wellness of the whole body. So today, just make sure you have a towel. It's always just nice to have a towel of some kind, more for today, more for relaxing at the end, and a strap too. It's more, again, for the second part. Here we go, and there's Cheryl. Hi. And then just to double check, Judy, I noticed you logged on. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope that's all good. Very cool. So what, thought that was cool what Colleen did. Feel free, there's a little chat thing at the bottom that you can send me type me a little message if you like, or just before class, you're most welcome to turn on your volume too. So once we start our class, we usually, I put it to mute just because, you know, in case somebody's phone rings or something, it just sort of easiest way to make sure that you can hear my audio, because the audio is not that great. So that's why I was saying that. And then please feel free to, if you've got some you'd like to play. Oh, there's Marion. Yeah, I'm not sure Mavis is there. I ran into Mavis, the dog park. Oh, it was so nice to see. And then I ran into Bev too. So, oh, there's Barbara. So isn't it so wonderful when you run into some people here, like, oh, so nice to see person. But just saying, Zoom is really powerful, and you know, there's pluses about being at home too. Oh, I just noticed my chair too. Please feel free if you ever want to use a chair. We're doing a little bit of standing balancing, but you know, feel free if you know to use a wall, or I even have my pool table here, so you could, you know, whatever is handy. Please feel free to use that. So just to review, so today strap towards the end of the class, and then a big towel. I always like to have a little towel too for my head at the end. So always nice. And then, so it's self-care day, believe it or not, July 24th. So I'll be showing you some cool little things that you can do just to kind of open up the energy channels, and it just feels good too. So we'll be doing that today. Oh, and then next week, next Friday, if you have tennis ball, oh, there's Cheryl. So for next Friday, oh, there's 9-8. Next Friday, just to give you a little heads up, and Simone will put that on the prop list. Or I was just thinking, probably a water bottle would work fine. This is for next Friday. This Friday, today, it's strap, towel, big one and a small one, and we're going to be kind of tapping into some energy channels here today. So, but always feel free to, if there's some body zones you'd like to do, or maybe there's poses that I haven't done in a while, please let me know. I'd be most happy to do them. So it's almost sort of like that, you know, you sort of have your kind of go-to recipes. It's sort of the same thing. Oh, there's Wendy. There. Oh, wonderful. So we'll get just a minute there. So anyways, but Now the timing is a little tight at the end, but if anybody wants to say hi at the end, it's always nice to have a little hi and chat. So we'll open that up. But I know busy days, and so feel free. You might just say, "Oh no, I gotta go." And I know some of you are golfing and doing all kinds of fun things. So, but oh yeah, today's our class. So we'll just be starting in just a minute there. So if you hooked on a little, if you just joined on, please use a chair. If anything doesn't feel right and you need to vary or just sort of personalize it a little bit or use an extra prop, please feel free. So I'm just going to tip this like that. I'll move my chair to the side. Got one more. Chantel. There we go. There we go. And Shauna, oh, lovely, very nice. Now, I just noticed that some there. So, oh, thank you, everybody. I think everybody already muted themselves. Thank you very much. So you see, I have another participant right there. No. Computer. Got it, and I'm just going to search. Oh, yeah. And so I'll just here, just to everybody here. Yes, I've got everywhere, just 11 participants. And so, oh, my apologies to Joan. I hope she can log on because I've got 11 people here. So we're going to start. Yeah, oh, thank you. Appreciate your help. Okay, bye. Thanks. Okay, that was just Simone, and she was just double checking because one of the participants couldn't log on. So we were just wondering if it's my computer. So the only thing I've noticed is there's a little sign on mine that's unstable. So hopefully there's a little bit of a glitch. Who knows out there? So I don't know if there's any thunderstorms up there. So anyways, very nice to have you all. Thank you very much for joining on this Friday. And as I said, it's a self-care day. So I thought, oh, actually, I was doing that anyways. So I thought, oh, very cool. So don't know who comes up with these special days. So from here, and as I said, maybe towards middle of the class, you might want to use the chair. All good. So my feet are parallel. I'm just going to check into the feet. I thought we'd start the feet a little bit more today. So thinking of self-care also. So feel free to do that walk the dog. So from here to the other thing I was sort of weaving in today is thinking of that we have 200 to 400 joints in our body. Can you imagine? And I thought it was quite bizarre too, because he said they don't have an exact number because everybody varies a little bit. So I guess just depending on your size. So from here, maybe back and forth. So the goal today too is not only a little bit of self-care, is to try and get through to most of the joints, maybe even all of the joints through the body, just sort of welcoming them with that beautiful prana of the breath, and then just that wonderful movement. And then from here, maybe just a little deeper with walk the dog. So going through the foot. So of course, when we go through the foot, we activate that energy of the body into the nervous system. So it's sort of like a wake up, like, okay, let's get going. And then let's just take, now feel free, you could be probably mirroring me. So you would be taking your left foot, lifting up that heel, and little circles. So I thought it was so powerful too, thinking of all of these movements, and they don't have to be huge movements to make such a big impact on the body. The body loves this movement, so good for circulation, moving the energy. And then try the other leg. Just excuse me, I have a person here. Very nice. There we go. So now, you know, you're mirroring me, maybe it would be your right foot taking the heel up, little circles. So if you just joined us where we're trying to work through all the joints and kind of weaving in some self-care work today too. And then from here, having the feet parallel, can you press down but lift up? So just double checking into the posture. And then from here, just lifting up all the toes. So I lift up all the toes. And then I might even spread the toes. So again, just go to what feels best for you. And then it's kind of like a wave of toes. You can even simulate with your hands, your fingers, wave them down. Coming again, inhale. So maybe it's easier to see too if I also use my hands. So flexing at the wrist, but lifting up the toes for the feet. And then spreading the fingers, spreading the toes. And then fanning them down. Maybe one more time. Inhale, lifting up the toes, flexing at the wrists, lifting up the fingers, so to speak, spreading the fingers. And a little release, and then fan the toes down. Nice work. And then just the big toe. So the big toe is connected to the deep front line of our body, which feeds into the core. So really powerful to kind of get that going. Amazing how the big toe is sort of the lead. Oh, good, we got Joan here. There, oh, great. Hi, if you just logged in. So big toe up, and then put the big toe down. So no worries too. When I first started practicing this, I literally went down and then lifted up my big toe, or, you know, if it's easier, your big toe. And then put the big toe down, and let's go up. So from here, the big toe down is down. So put it down, you now lift up. So I lift up the toes, switch big toes up, and then switch other toes up. So maybe you're doing a variation of this, all good. Maybe one more time, big all toes up. Put the toe down and switch. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, I take my palms down. Exhale. Coming again. Inhale up. And exhale down. Feel free, you can be as audible as you like. Coming again. Inhale up. Exhale. Last one. Inhale up. Exhale. Releasing and release. I'm just gonna, excuse me, a little warmer in here than I thought, so I'm just going to layer a little bit. So shoulders forward, shoulders back. Oh, such a nice movement, just very gentle. And then from here, maybe you can make it deeper, so feel free, you might want to make it deeper, a little bigger. You can even take the shoulders, inhale up, exhale. Inhale up, and imagine any stress just sliding down the back. Last one, inhale up, exhale. And then from here, checking into the posture. So of course, this is Tadasana. We'll do Tadasana with feet parallel. So we're just sort of checking in. So we do that rebounding. So all that means is I ground down. Big toe mound, baby toe mound, heel, grounds down. And then I lift up the arches, the kneecaps, the thighs. Think of that front core line, big toe. So draw all the way up. And then you can even put the tip of the tongue to the roof of your mouth. Sort of noticing that connection. I call it sort of like the super highway of the breath as well. And then just check into the breath with that little extra awareness. And then please feel free to come into Tadasana. Of course, Tadasana is a mudra, Anjali mudra. Very powerful to connect with the body, the right hemisphere with the left hemisphere, the yin with the yang. Very much a centering pose. And then plus two, so good again for the core. When you think of our backs, just our general wellness of our body, we need that core strength and any of the kind of basic things we have to do or the fun things we want to do. Just checking into the breath. You can even press the sides of your thumbs into the sternum area, in and then up just a tad. but then slide the shoulder blades down again. So it might be just a tiny bit. And then just checking in with the breath. Checking in with how the body feels today. I always say maybe there's a zone you know of that needs a little extra prana, extra energy, extra healing, or maybe it's something you haven't noticed. So just double check, maybe from the toes all the way up through the crown of the head. And let's just do a couple of flashlight breaths. So all that would be is as you bring the breath to the tip of the nostril, to the back of the throat. Imagine it kind of swirling the back of the throat. And as you exhale, send that breath to that zone. Like a beautiful flashlight of breath. Maybe try that a couple more times. So you can envision what color that would be. What color would your light be? And then on this next one, just a little different technique, it's the same, but a little different. So inhale, again, swirling at the back of the throat. Exhale, send that breath to that zone. This time, pause. So as if you're shining the light even more brightly into that zone. Maybe a little more intensity with the breath, with the focus of the breath, holding it there. And then release. So studies have shown that when we do that, it adds that extra circulation, that extra prana, that extra breath into that zone. And then coming to namaste breath, inhale up. So of course I can go as high or as low as I like. I could even stay here with namaste breath. So your call. When you think of the joints, notice how we're going to the upper part of the body a little more. Maybe the head follows. So inhale up, exhale, coming down. So maybe today we'll just go with the even inhale, even exhale, sort of that classic yoga breath. In through the nose, out through the nose. Maybe noticing that little sound, that extra sound you hear. And of course, if you ever notice any clicks or anything that doesn't seem smooth, of course, slow that movement, or maybe don't go as high up or as low. Let's just go for four, classic four more. What I love about Tadasana, about the Namaste Mudra, it's just a good time to check in even a little bit more. I always say on our busy days, even though we aren't out as much, but still, maybe how are you, online too. But now it's a chance for you to check in within your own self. How are you today? Maybe even noticing, is the right nostril as clear as the left nostril? And then pressing the hands in just a little bit more, with a little more energy. Exhale, release the hands down, feel free, little circles. I just automatically do a little walk the dog, so feel free what feels good for you. I might flex the mat. And let's go into the thymus tap. So I just mentioned today we do a little bit of self-care. We always do with our yoga program, but you just need a little bit more focus. So a couple of techniques. I thought this was kind of cool. Now, of course, the thymus tap, we just, tap. So think of sort of awakening the body a bit and also sort of evening out the energy zones. So just kind of energy awakening. And it's sort of like, think of that fancy stereo systems we used to have, sort of tuning in. Now, the other technique too that you can do, and I'll just come up a little closely, you can take your 2 fingers and your thumb and make like a little beak, and maybe try that. So personally for the thymus tap, I kind of like the, you know, the Tarzan. But when we go into, you might like the little beak version a little better. So from here, I might try that beak move, just kind of around the collarbones on either side. So you could use 2 if you like. So just maybe about 5 to 10 times. Ah. And it's just sort of like balancing out. Good for vitality. Ah. And then I call this our sweet spleen zone. So it's just below the breast here, over that little ridge there on the rib cage. So a little tap there, sweet spleen. And then one more too, this is we'll call it the super stomach. So it's just that little ridge below the eye. So this one you probably want to tap just very gently, just lightly. Of course, we wouldn't do the big one like we do the thymus, so just a little tap, about 5 to 10 times. So just a little awakening. So powerful, and probably just a little bit of a massage too, a little facial massage. And then taking the arms up to the side. And then take the hands, another classic one we do, I'll go sideways. This way you but I never sacrifice good posture. So I wouldn't pop the rib cage. I just slide the shoulder blades down, open up through the front of the body. Inhale, exhale. Imagine there's a big beach ball you can kind of lean on up top. And then I just take it back. And then I lean forward. And then coming again, inhale. And of course, these are just meant to be just a little release, but supported by the and then come forward. And of course, everybody will be different as far as, you know, how much you go, but please don't feel that you have to go very far at all. And then I lead with the heart. Notice how the shoulders get a nice little stretch. Maybe one more like this. Inhale. Exhale, release. And then this last one will stay here if it's okay for you. All good if you need to come out. So from here, I inhale up. I come back. This time, if it's okay, you can just stay here. Take another inhale. Exhale down the spine. Coming again, inhale. Exhale down the spine, all the way down the legs. And then lead with the heart. Coming forward. And a little release. So I'll show you a cool one that is a nice little spinal flush, thinking of self-care. So I take my fingers, maybe I'll just come over here just for a little bit. I take my fingers, I will stand up a minute. I take my hands behind my head, and on either side of the spine, I just sort of pull. So I just sort of pull like this. Just sort of pull. So I just come through here, pulling. Actually, you might say, that does feel quite good. So I just pull like that, and I'll come back to standing. I just came down just so you could see me a little bit better. And then I know really tricky to get right back there. So we come in the front. So come in the sternum. So I think of that middle part where the sternum is. And I just sort of pull away that fascia. Those connective tissues there, a little bit of muscle. And then from here, I take it behind me, a little lower down. So think kind of like towards the, maybe what the 12th rib, so towards the bottom of your rib cage. And I just pull this way. So I just pull. I just feel really nice. I find just that low back can feel really good. So let's just try it one more time. Sometimes it's nice to do it one more time. I just say, okay, now I get what we're doing. So it's called a spinal flush. So from here, I take my hands and then I just sort of pull apart. So again, I know we go to the sternum, but I'm sure that kind of releases towards the back. And of course, you can't get back there very easily. And from here, just releasing. I would think it'd be very good for the breath too. If you have a bit, if allergies and that is very soothing. And then just finishing it off, just releasing it here. Ooh, nice little release. And of of course, all with this self-care, you can go as much, as the intensity, you feel, of course, you do it to what's good for you. So from here, standing up straight, coming into a little more release. Just turn this down a bit. Coming into a little bit more. I'm just thinking of, there's 56 joints in the hands alone. Can you imagine? And as I say, either 200 to 400 joints in the whole body. So from here, I'm standing up tall, shoulder blades down the back. So checking into the posture. Maybe the chin slightly tucked just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my arms. I'm going to give myself a bit more space. Take it to the side. And I'm just going to flex the wrists. So I could go up and down first, actually, just to be a bit more clear. Maybe little circles. Just a little warm up. And then this is cool too. I could have the palms behind me or face them behind me. So the palms are back and I just flex. Woof. Now this is interesting because not only do you find it into the wrists, but I notice I feel it all the way to the front of that fascial line across the heart. Of course, whenever we do that, so good for the breath. You might just say, I might just sort of have a little playtime. So I call this the Thailand stretch that we're going to do. Some of you know this one. It's always a good one. And then, take your hands down. Always feel free to, if you need to vary a little bit. So from here, I'm going to take, now you might want to mirror me, so you might want to take your left hand in front, and I press. So I just press just to start. Now, if this is too much, you totally can go just a pull. So feel free to go what's good for you. Then from here, I'm going to draw the thumbs in, and I'm going to gently just take it to where it's good for me. So you might be here, 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 wherever. So just take it. So when you think of the computer work or just working on our phones or lots of salad making, golfing, all of those. And the wrists need a little love too. So you can see I kind of have flipped it this way, but again, go to where it's good for you. And a person could totally just go into the mummy stretch if that's too much as well. And then from here, I come on back. So from here, I bring it in, I put it down, I pull apart again, shoulder blades down, I inhale, and then if it's okay for you, take your arms up. Now this one's a little tricky because the shoulders want to lift up, try and guide them down, shoulder blades down the back, and I could do a little tip, but of course totally optional. That little extra for release. And of course, the breath always guides me. So if I notice the breath is a bit choppy or just not the way it should be, that's a good indication that maybe I need to vary the pose and go maybe not quite as deep or just vary the positioning. Then from here, taking the arms down and a little unfold. Oof. And then from here, feel free, a little flex. So the fingers, I think it's so cool. The fingers are connected to the lungs. So important to have that flexibility of the hands. And of course, if there's any tightness there, that goes all the way to the shoulders and into the neck, and we don't want that. So from here, let's go to the other side. So, and I take the other arm in front, and I just pull. So it's almost sort of like that seal idea, shoulder blades down. So something I know from my own self, I always had to keep double checking. Are my shoulder blades down? I pull apart. I take the thumbs and I draw them in, inhale, and then exhale. And again, just checking in. If there's any tension, send the breath, that beautiful ripple of release. And again, it may be different on this side, and maybe you're at a different spot than I am. All good. Go to where it's good for you. And then take it down, press again. And then from here, so then from here we lift it up. Shoulder blades down. And again, I'm thinking of that rebounding. I'm pressing into the big toe mound, the baby toe mound, and the heel, but I'm drawing up through the arch. And then again, a little tip. So I should mention too, if there's any shoulder issues, you might just say, I just can't even take my arms up. A person could totally just do a nice little lateral stretch like that. Always good. So again, yoga is for everybody. I think that's such a powerful way to think of yoga. It's just not about those special poses that look quite Olympian type. And then from here, taking it up, taking it down, kind of furl it, unwind it, take it back down, and then a little release. And then from here, now always feel free if you want to use a chair, all good. So from here, for a bit of support, my feet are parallel. We're going to go into actually chair, Utkatasana. So feet, just make sure they're in alignment. Inhale, come into that chair, that classic chair position. So don't be shy to take the hips back, shoulder blades down the back, and let's do a little mudra with our thumbs, Marandanda. So I think it's kind of cool. It talks about alignment and talks about optimism. The thumbs are up. So I think I said a little nod to Carla too. I know she does this one too. So thumbs up, but can we take it a step further? As far, in a way, as far as a step, lift the toe, big toes up. So notice that energy. Ooh, big toes up, thumbs up, optimism. And then relax the big toe, relax the hands a bit, maybe spread the fingers out, shoulder blades down. Inhale, come back up. And then coming again, inhale, come into chair. Shoulder blades down, the back, and then come on up. This time, let's lift up all the toes. Inhale. And then you might just say, why? Well, it's really good to activate the muscles around the knees. And then notice that energy. Notice the arch, that energy of the arch coming all the way in that front line. Very powerful for the core. Fan the toes down. Inhale up. Coming again, inhale, come into chair. Maybe again, lift up the toes. And then from here, fan the toes down, coming on up. And then from here, inhale again. This time, so I'll just show you with the chair on this part that you might want to use the chair. I'm gonna press into my big toe mount. My toes are pressed down, my heels are down, or up, sorry. So heels are up, shoulder blades down. And then I'm going to inhale. I certainly could use a chair or a wall just for a little support. And then from here, I could take one hand and I could just do a tip, or I could use two hands. So feel free, whatever's good for you. So I might be using the chair, all good. That's so good for the core. And when you think of the back too, wonderful for the back. So we always want to make our backs like more like a willow. That even though poplars are lovely, you want them strong and flexible. And then from here, take your arms parallel. Now, no worries. Maybe you've had your heels down by now, all good. Or you could just come back up. And then from here, slowly taking the hips down, maybe keeping the heels up, and then press the heels down. Inhale, come on up. A little walk the dog. So let's go into some warriors too before we come down. Now, again, I'm putting my chair to the side, but always feel free if you would like to use your chair, all of it. I'm going to go sideways for you. Might be easier to see. So might be nice too to start in chair. So from here, I'm in chair. I could lift up. I'm going to lift up on the leg that's closest to you. For me, it's my right. Feel free to mirror me. And then from here, I'm going to take it back. Or you might say, you know, I think for me, it's better just to put my foot back. So don't feel that you have to go through chair. Try and have your hips basically parallel to the front of the mat, but don't feel that you don't want to torque it if it's too much. One of the cues that's really, really important is the knee over the ankle. So that's probably the most important cue. The back foot might be on a bit of an angle, and everybody will be different. Sometimes it's about 45 degrees. Inhale, come into warrior one, maybe cactus. Some people find it's a little hard on the neck with the arms up, so feel free to go to cactus or high blood pressure. So find what's best for you. So really pressing into the balls of the feet. I always like this idea as if I'm trying to rip the mat. So I'm trying to press into the mat, grounding. Inhale up, and then let's open to warrior two. So I might wiggle the back foot. So I never move the front foot. I push the back foot, or take the back foot back, just to make sure that the knee isn't in a spot that might be kind of hard for it. So you've already set it up in a good spot, so keep it there. Coming into warrior two, Virabhadrasana two. So my drishti could be to the side, or some people like it towards the top of the mat. So finding, and then so powerful too. I find this helps with the focus, making sure the mind is in the body. I'm not in the future. I'm not in the past. I'm in the present moment. Maybe even take the shoulders, exhale. And then flip the front arm and a little tip. Inhale, coming on up. So the the back arm maybe gently goes along the leg or behind the low back. The drishti is up. And then just checking in, where's the breath? Can you hear the breath? And of course, can you feel the breath? And then when you're ready, inhale, opening up. So it's almost like somebody has my right wrist, somebody has my left wrist, and just opening. Such a beautiful release. And then from here, taking that back leg, feel free. You could even slowly take it to the front. That's always very powerful too. I always like to finish off the pose. And then let's go to the other side. So from here, now feel free, you might be just doing it straight on with me, all good. I do it this way just to show. So from here, I'm coming into that parallel position. I'm gonna go into chair again. Again, feel free if you just wanna step into that warrior one. So then I would just lift up that heel and then take it back. So that in itself works the strength in the leg. For me, I'm gonna adjust my space. So I'm just gonna walk just to make sure that I'm not compromising that knee. So my back foot, I just sort of ran out of space with the wall. And then from here, opening up. So again, checking that the knee is over the ankle. And again, if you don't have, if it's hard to see, I track my kneecap over the two toes next to my big toe. So that's how I sort of give my awareness when I'm in class myself. So from here, just checking into warrior one with cactus. Arms, such a nice stretch. Shoulder blades down. And then inhale. So I just kind of lift my hips up and then just open that back leg. And then just come to the best version for me. So everybody's space will be different. I know there's ideal space as far as how far, but again, everybody will be different. So make sure you go to what's good for you. And then again, I think I'm not in the future. I'm not in the past. I'm in the present. So from here, heart over pelvis. Drishti, the focus, can be front or to the side or to the top of the mat. And then just enjoying this nice release. So powerful to strengthen into the ankles, the legs, opening up the hips. So powerful. And then from here, take that front arm and then I tip it or dip it and then lift it. And then the head, the focus goes up to the hand, back hand along the leg or behind the low back. Maybe just double check and the shoulders slide down a little bit more. And then just checking into the breath. Maybe even adding that tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth again. I might just double check a little deeper with the breath, that ujjayi breath. Let's just do 2 more breaths. And then when you're ready, inhale, opening up to warrior 2 again. And then I'm gonna pivot to warrior 1. And then I could add that little extra. So I'm making a commitment. I'm pressing into that front, that, in my case, my right leg, front leg, and then I'm taking that leg just as smoothly as I can, which I know, I thought a good analogy I use at other time is just like making pancakes. So you want to try that again on your own. Sometimes they vary. So all good. So from here, let's just go sideways, or I'll go sideways for you. We're going to go to the floor. So from here, I firm my thighs. I inhale, come all the way up. I firm my thighs even more to protect my back, and I fold forward. And then I just go yes and no. So feel free, maybe your chair is handy. You definitely could use your chair, hold on. You could use some blocks. I'm just gonna go yes and no. And then I'm gonna firm my thighs, and it's almost sort of like a standing tabletop. So notice too, I could have awareness of where my weight is, and my hips could go way back. But if possible, if you could challenge yourself to take your weight into the balls of your feet a little bit more. Ooh, spiking up the sits bones. One more breath. Exhale, fold forward. You might even want to put your hands on your elbows. If you've got a block or a chair, maybe your hands are there. But this is an interesting pose because the legs are really strong, but the upper body is relaxed. A couple more breaths, and it is a partial inversion. The head may be lower than the heart, depending on what mode you're doing. All good. And then inhale, lift up, and then I'm just going to slowly come into quadruped. So if quadruped is not for you, you're most welcome to do it in a chair. You're most welcome to do it standing against the wall. All good. And of course, I know some of participants, I do it too. It's nice to have a blanket under the knee if the knee is not happy, or something underneath the wrists. So quadruped, so powerful. This whole series, I want to say what's wonderful is yoga is the caretaker of the back. So I bring my elbows around, set up, hips over my knees, shoulders over my wrists, shoulder blades down the back. And the neck is just an extension. And then from here, so we're setting up. From here, then I'm going to soften the belly, lift up the head, lift up the tailbone. On the inhale, exhale, come into cat. And then from the base of the spine, undulating, inhale up. And then exhale. And then please feel free on your own timing. So you might want to go slower or faster. Just a totally different rhythm, of course. But again, so powerful. So this is like brushing your teeth as it is for yoga. Just sort of a classic one. And it could be done standing. You could be in a chair, just undulating like this, all good. Just do a couple more. And then let's meet back at cat. So I lift up really, really high. So not only the navel, like don't just think of the navel, think of the whole lower belly drawing up into the spine, making that arch as if there's a big toddler or a big dog trying to crawl through. And then maybe come into spider fingers and then take the hips back. So when you think of all those joints, I think we've gotten through quite a few of them. And then from here, coming on forward, maybe one more like this, little cow. Big cat. So I lift it really, really high. Maybe come into the fingers and then take the hips back. And then from here, coming forward. And then a little wiggle. Wow. So just a little bit more for the hips now. Feel free to, many variations, maybe just want to keep with cow cat. But you could lift up that right leg, bend it, and then just do little circles with the hip. Or in the hip. I could even use my foot too. Might feel really good. I could sort of do a little kind of flip and then put the leg down. And of course, always, whatever's for you, everybody is different as far as maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you're just going to take the leg back up. That's another good series we do. So just sort of have just gentle movement with the breath. And of course, the breath is your guide. And then from here, just a little bit more honey pot. We didn't officially do a honey pot, but it's thinking of a little bit of playtime, basically what it is. So you just sort of go to where it's good for you. I could go way back. I could tuck my toes, thinking, ooh, a little deeper at the toes, or not. You might just say, no, I like my toes flat. Or you could come forward. There may be some of you like to even do downward dog, but please don't feel that if that's not good for wrists, no worries. So you can just find what's the best. I like the zigzag too. Zigzag's kind of cool too. And then from here, we're going to go into cobra and locust, and then we'll finish this little section, of course, with either child's pose or crocodile. So from here, I just come on down. Now you totally could come forward, take your elbows into the chest, elbows back, slowly come down, or you might just want to take yourself right down. So from here, starting with cobra, bhujangasana, really good to strengthen the back. The upper back. I take my hands on either side of my spine. My toes are down, shoulder blades down the back. And imagine a little ladybug underneath the navel. So you don't want to squish it. And then inhale, lifting up. The toes are down. I could even clasp. So this is cobra, bhujangasana. Some people might even want to just have the elbows down, all good. So really nice to kind of get a nice stretch and strengthen the upper back. Maybe one more breath. And then when you're ready, slowly, slowly take the right ear down. I might even put my hand there, or you could put a little towel. So this is one of those rare poses where this shoulder can be totally relaxed, and the other shoulder too, actually, depending on if you're using the arm for a little bit of a pillow. Wonderful way to get a nice stretch into the neck. Wonderful way to check in with the breath. Maybe one more breath. And then coming back slowly. I put one hand and put the other hand. So we're going to add. So we'll do Cobra first, and then we'll come into Locust or Shalabhasana. So from here, I might even kind of wiggle. Sometimes the body says, okay, you need to just straighten out a little bit. So toes down just to start. Shoulder blades down the back, hands on either side of the rib cage. Again, think of that little ladybug, so activating the abs and the core. And then from here, inhale, peeling the upper part of the body. Now lift up the legs. So the legs are pretty strong, so they might all of a sudden want to say, I can do it right away, but we want to make sure the upper body gets a chance. And then I open up. I could clasp, you don't have to clasp. You can even take your arm to the side. I could even just kind of play around, flex point maybe even. But the legs are strong. That energy lifting up, and feel free to accent the exhale. Very powerful in this prone pose. Maybe one more breath. And then very, very slowly, always coming out of a pose mindfully, put the left ear down. So I'm going to come around this way so I can see you. So the left ear is down. And then again, the shoulders, let the shoulders relax. Maybe the hand is giving a bit of support for the neck and the head, or a pillow, or I should say a little low towel. I might even wiggle the hips a little bit. Checking in. So noticing, how does the neck feel on this side? And then when you're ready, inhale, slowly coming on up, hands on either side of the spine. So this officially is Sphinx, just so you know. So Sphinx, maybe this feels good for you today. Or if you want to go into Cobra, I'm lifting up the hands. I could have them down too, by the way, but I'm lifting up the upper part of the body. So the belly is more down on this one. Maybe coming into Shalabhasana, Locust, lifting up. Again, inviting that release down the back. The head is just an extension. I could clasp. Oh, I know swimming, and one of my favorite things too. Maybe you're a swimmer. You could do a little flutter. You could do a little breaststroke. You could flutter with the arms. So feel free just to go whichever version's best for you. Maybe even going for 4 counts. Maybe for 4. Maybe for 3. Maybe for 2, maybe on your favorite lake or favorite place to swim, ocean even. 2, 1, and then slowly trying to mindfully come down. And I know this is a crowd favorite. You know, Joan, you love this one. Could be crocodile, forehead down. Maybe wiggle the hips, or maybe you might just say, you know what, actually, I prefer child's pose. So maybe you'd rather do child's pose. Could keep my hips up. So please go to the pose that is you find the best for you. Just checking in. So either of those 2 poses, I'll just come up just to talk a little better. Either of those 2 poses are wonderful because you're putting that gentle pressure on the vagus nerve. So a little zone between the eyebrows. So you're calming the mind. And letting the breath have a chance to, or have that awareness to take the breath to the back of the body. So maybe even think of really sort of sending a beautiful wave of breath to the low back. To the mid back. To the upper back. Maybe to the side bodies. So powerful for the lungs to get a chance to send the breath in different directions, like a canister. So our lungs, or busy days, it's more up and down. But this is a wonderful chance to use the gravity too, if you're in crocodile restorative, to press and send the breath to different zones. Or if you're in child's pose, the body's a little more open. Maybe one more breath. Your beautiful Zenful work. And then from here, depending on where you are. So if you are in crocodile, I might wiggle my hips a little bit more or not, and then I take my hands either side of my rib cage, slowly come up. If you're in child's pose, same thing, just slowly come up. You might want to do an active stretch forward. And then from here, feel free. Sometimes it's just good just to be, again, very gentle, very kind to yourself as far as maybe you're coming through that sort of that honeypot idea, undulating. And then when you're ready, I'm going to go sideways. And then from here, do make sure for this next part to have your nice big, I'm using a beach towel. I thought it's kind of a little extra sort of layer, make it kind of fun, or maybe got a towel or a blanket, all good. So I'm just going to have it handy for towards the end of class. I'm going to have my strap handy. Feel free to, I think that's good for now, but I always feel free if you have any other props to use, all good for revolved belly or big toe. Your little towel, that's what I was thinking, for your head. But before we go into this next part, here's another little one I thought was kind of cool just to share you. So this is sort of a cranial release, and it can feel very soothing. So at least I hope you do. I find it very soothing. So I take my fingers, and then I just go kind of on either side, or the middle of the skull, and I just sort of pull out. So from here, I pull out to the temples, and then use the breath. So maybe I inhale, and then exhale, kind of release. So not great for hairstyles, but that's okay. And then just pull out. Ooh, I don't know if you've ever had well, you get the hairdressers, of course, that just that same idea, kind of pulling out. So again, I come from the center. I might start to the front of the forehead, pull out towards the temples. So again, this is all sort of under that sort of wonderful energy releasing for the body, that self-care. And I might go to the crown of the head, pull out, and then go back down the spot, the nape of my neck. Kind of a little bit like what we did earlier, and kind of but adding that the upper part, the head. And you might even want to go, oh, it might just feel so good here. Oof, just a nice little self-care. Actually, when you think of when you wash your hair, or with the conditioner too, that might be even just a nice little technique to do. I thought this was just really cool. And then just opening up, kind of soothing, if there's any tension there. Nice little release. And then from here too, we'll get ready for a nice diamond shape, but we can also do a little bit of a Achilles opening, or kind of around the ankle. So I take my two fingers, make it go this way, and I just go where my Achilles are, and then just massage up. So I even just say, I think it's easier if I just do one leg at a time. So I just massage. So I'm just taking my thumb and my two fingers, kind of like that, not quite the beak idea, but kind of. And I just massage up. So sort of a calf flush, I guess you could say. But again, it should feel really good. So any of you that are doing a lot of hiking too, this would be a really nice one. Or having said that, golfing. Or dog walking. And then the other side. Just a nice little release. And then let's go into the butterfly. So we're doing just a nice, relaxing, resting butterfly. If we were doing one to kind of a little bit more structured one, we'd use a lot more props. But having said that, you're most welcome to use props. So I take my feet together. And then, of course, the classic one is I have my heels up and close to my body. Shoulder blades down, but we are going to go more to diamonds. So I'm going to slide the heels out. Feel free, you could totally use something to kind of lean on too. So again, everybody will be different. We're just going to do just a gentle one, just to kind of nice little stretch in the low back. So just a very gentle version. And it just should. And notice your toes. Maybe you can get your toes to touch. Maybe wiggle your toes. Nice little release here. And send the breath to the back of the body. So another good one to be able to do that. And then when you're ready, inhale. Now draw the energy up through the pelvic floor. So I'm always trying to protect my back. So I'm bringing it up. And then from here, have that blanket handy again. And then feel free just to bend. I just go sort of a sitting revolved belly. And feel good too. I like this one too because you get a nice stretch in the front of the body. Just a nice little stretch there. And then from here, let's go into our classic big toe pose. Such a good one. So from here, again, I have my blanket handy. Also good for revolved belly. I might have it on my left side, just to have it ready. And then I might use my pillow there for my head. So again, the tip is when you if you notice that your chin feels higher than your forehead, and it just of course use a little bit of the street versions of this big toe pose, all good. So the idea is we're working at the back line of the body and getting a nice stretch into the hamstrings, probably especially, but it goes into many joints. So I take my strap today, just put it around your big toe mound, or I should say the ball of your foot. So from here, what I like to do is I like to lengthen it on this version so the shoulders can come down, the back of the arms can come down, and I flex. So you could it's almost like a gas pedal. How much flexing is right for you? So you might just notice, okay, so that in between. And I might do a little circle. Notice in my case, I've got my left leg bent, or you might just say, this so you can see better. So you might just say, oh, for me, I'm okay to stretch your leg, you might say. But you'll do what's best for you. So again, if your back is a little tight, then keep the knee bent. And of course, motion is lotion. So good to kind of warm up the hip. We did have warmed up the hip, but maybe a little bit more. And then from here, then we go to your classic pose. So we take the thigh towards the chest. I activate the thigh. So then the hamstring can relax, shoulder blades down. And again, going to the breath, sending the breath like a beautiful wave of release. And of course, adjusting that leg if you like or not. Maybe even slightly turning that top leg in just a little bit. Notice, goes a little deeper. Sometimes the sacrum likes that a little better. Softness with the breath. Soft flowing breath. I always like to check in the face. How does the face feel? And then from here, take both straps into the right hand. I take my left hand to my left hip, just to make sure I'm sort of guiding into good alignment. And I just slowly, I gingerly take the leg to the side. If you have a wall or a couch or something you want to lean into, please feel free. I could even take that arm and take it to the side if I think, okay, my hips are even. If I had a little soup below my navel, would it be able to stay there? And then from here, maybe one more breath. And then from here, inhale, come up to 12 o'clock. Now, if it's okay to take it across the center line, please do. If not, just go back to the first pose or the second pose. I switch hands with a strap, and I'm going to take it past my center line. My right hip is going to go over my left hip. I'm kind of relaxing into the right shoulder. So I'm never forcing. I'm letting the breath guide. And please feel free to add any props as needed. If you had an extra towel, you could put it underneath your right shoulder if that feels better. Nice breath. So that beautiful summer breath, or that summer breeze within the body. And then inhale, taking it up to 12 o'clock. Now your call. We do the first pose, or when we do two, I find it's kind of fun, is I go, it's kind of like I call it Jack and the Beanstalk. I lift my head, I lift my shoulders. This leg could be bent, and I get a nice little stretch. I could walk up the strap, I could walk up the leg, or, again, many versions. Inhale, and then let the leg, as if it's floating down or hammocking down. So enjoy that stretch all the way down, really finishing off that pose. And then let that leg rest. And then notice your right leg, your right hip, your right shoulder, maybe even your right side of your jaw, right side of your neck. Maybe that side feels more grounded. And then from here, we want to make sure we're even. And then, of course, I take the strap to the left side. So I flex. And again, maybe on this side, you need to have that knee bent. So please feel free. So make sure that, you know, the body feels like, okay, this is good for me. And again, it's always fine. Me too. It's a moving target. So shoulder blades down. And then I might just move the leg. Ooh. So you might notice too that there's those zones that you feel when you move, that 360 idea of moving the leg. We're kind of in that range. And then just sort of notice like, oh yeah, there's that spot that kind of is not as smooth, or maybe you might just notice you just sort of feel entering sort of maybe that yellow zone. So not the green zone, that yellow that goes a little bit onto my edge. And then from here, invite the leg towards the chest. So again, I'm activating the quad. And it might sound kind of odd, but very cool that when you activate the quad, the hamstrings can relax. Much safer too. So activating the quad, then relaxing into the shoulders. Maybe one more breath. And then from here, take both straps into the left hand. I take my right hand to my right hip, just making sure both hips are even. And then I inhale, exhale, take the leg to the side. So as if you were on a beach, if you were on this beautiful sandy beach, and if you were to get up, you would have a print of your body evenly with the right hip, the left hip, the right shoulder, the left shoulder, the right elbow and the left elbow. So try to make the body as even as possible with that release, that foundation. And then when you're ready, inhale, come back to the top to 12 o'clock. I'm going to switch hands with the strap. Again, if it's okay for you to take your leg across, please do. If not, go to one of the poses we just did. And then I could totally take that hip all the way over. Again, if that is okay for you. I could use a wall in this case to lean. Actually, it feels really good. A little extra support. The strap is great, but sometimes it's nice to have another prop, and the wall definitely is a prop. And then when you're ready, inhale, come back to the top. And then from here, again, I could do that Jack and the Beanstalk. I think Ashtanga, it is a Sutradangastasana, or just getting a nice little stretch lifting up. Or as I said, the nickname is Jack and the Beanstalk. And from here, feel free to let it float down. So enjoying, luxuriating a stretch down. Then from here now, a nice little release. Now we'll just have time just for a quick revolve belly. So that's always a nice one to do. So little tip too, actually today, have your feet wider at the wide part of the mat. My hands are going to be down. We're just going to do a little one just to give a bit more support. So the whole series we do with the picture and do a tennis ball for me. Even a water bottle, I must say, but have a tennis ball. Be great. And then when you're ready, use that blanket underneath your thigh or your towel, or maybe you've got some bolsters. Just find what's best for you. If you have a second blanket, I must say, or a towel, you can even put it over your belly. More just for just sort of a soothing feeling. Palms are up, and then just let the body feel like it's hammocking. And inviting the body, please do stay there, into a restful Shavasana. So the jaws are soft, the eyes are soft, and all of the muscles that were hugging the bones, let them relax and release. I think it's so powerful to add the positive affirmations. Again, please feel free, if you have your own that you would like to use, please use those. Or if you want to even add these within the body, thinking to yourself, perhaps that every cell in my body is calm. And every cell in my body is peaceful. And yet, every cell in my body is strong. And every cell in my body is amazing at healing. And what we think, we become. And then wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Sometimes it's nice to hear this little chime, so like a little doorbell. And then from here, do that little special stretch that makes you the best. Maybe a little sigh. And then rolling over to the right. And then coming into a seated position. I'm sitting on my blanket or my towel, feel free. So I have shoulder blades down just to seal the practice. 2 breaths, inhale. Exhale. And then the second one, inhale. Exhale. And I honor your strength of body, mind, and spirit. Namaste.